We are talking about health, eating healthier, being healthier. Christine, I had you on my show, I think it was last year, and you were preparing for a book that was to be launched. It's official now, right? It's out?
Yes, sugar freed. Stop losing the weight loss battle, start gaining the victory was released on January 21st.
Awesome. I'm going to bring it up in just a minute and tell people how they can order. But I think it's great to have you on now because with a new administration and not necessarily about politics, but so many people wanting to be healthy. And I think now I went to the grocery store yesterday and I just started looking around and I'm like, oh my, look at that, look at that. We're starting, I hope, as a society to realize now a lot of the stuff that's being pushed at us is just not healthy. And that's not a Republican Democrat thing. It's just a fact, right? It's not healthy.
Right. It's definitely not political. It is all Americans, all people should be concerned about their personal health and wellness.
Now, let me bring it up on the screen. This is your book, Sugar Free. Now, is sugar is sugar evil? Is sugar bad? What's your explanation? Talk about the book a little bit. Sugar Freed is the headline, and in the picture here, I can see you, the old you, and then the new you in the picture. Um,
Yes.
talk about the book a little bit. What does someone get out of this, and who is this book for?
All right. So it's funny that you asked if it was evil because when I first started quitting sugar, I had a plethora of health conditions piling up. I was pre-diabetic. I had just been diagnosed with fatty liver disease, and that's really what sent me down the path of learning so much more about sugar. And what I was learning about sugar, Dave, I started saying and telling everybody, sugar is the devil, sugar is the devil.
Yeah.
So yes, it was destroying my health. And I was also, what I didn't mention, I was also morbidly obese. I was 100 pounds overweight at the time, too. And I had just gone to Colorado and was unable to climb mountains with my husband. So I came home from that trip and I had my take ownership moment on the side of a mountain in Colorado. So I came home and I learned so much about the standard American diet. I was someone that was raised during the days of the food pyramid, and then we morphed over to the my plate. And I was someone that was raised on a diet that was, even if I was trying to follow a healthy diet, my plate was often filled with more carbohydrates that break down into sugar than my metabolic health can handle. I have insulin resistance, or I had insulin resistance, I had metabolic syndrome. If you hear your doctors batting around those phrases at you, then you should listen up and you should know that sugar is doing harm to your health. And the more sugar you can eliminate from your health, the better that your metabolic health overall will be. And that's why I'm here, excited to be here to talk to you about the metabolic health movement. It's very exciting to me that this is making headlines. I'm not a very political person, but once people started talking about that, my ears started perking up, and I was like, oh, maybe this is our chance. Maybe we're going to get the word out to help people make better and healthier choices for their health. And that is going to happen by eliminating a lot of sugar,
Will
unfortunately.
will this book, someone like myself, it seems like I'm addicted to sugar in a way, and addicted to bad foods, fast foods, cookies, or whatever it might be. Is this a way to start my journey, this book?
Yes, absolutely. Because I wrote the book myself. I've lived through the experience. I'm also training as a sugar addiction specialist. I'm a certified Christian health and wellness coach now. And so I have learned a lot over my years of healing. Not only did I lose 100 pounds and reverse my own morbid obesity, reversed my prediabetes, reversed my fatty liver disease, but it put a keen interest in my heart, because I always say that once I saw what happened to me, I couldn't get the news out fast enough. And so that's why I wrote the book. And, I typically speak to Christian women, Dave, but the message is for anybody. And I know that a lot of husbands come along with my coaching clients, along with their wives during the journey, and get just as much benefit out of switching, adopting a very low sugar lifestyle. So it really is a message for anybody, especially if you've been wrestling or dealing with any metabolic health issues.
And is it safe to say it is an addiction because we have gambling, we have drugs, and I know people who have beaten certain addictions, but the either addiction, it feels like it because I have gone off like Coke and Pepsi for 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden I get like, whoa, it's like an addiction. I have to have it. I have, and then I cave, and then I get back in the cycle. Is it literally an addiction in the brain?
Yes, as someone who I call myself a recovering food and sugar addict. And what I learned in my addiction training is that addiction is one disease with many different outlets. So you mentioned gambling, you mentioned shopping. For me, it was sugar. And yes, it is a brain disorder. Our brains want that reward. There's a reward center in our brain, but what we can do, and just like an alcoholic can live alcohol free, a sugar addict can also live sugar free. But it takes determination, it takes discipline, it takes effort, it takes removing the substance that's causing the issue. And the more you remove it, the longer you do it, the quieter those cravings get. Dave, I talk
And
about cravings all the time. You really are craving those things for a reason. There is a lot going on in your brain.
I can't go into detail because we take the time and the book is here, but does this book help with that mental part of it? Like literally, I would ask you, I'm like, how do I do that? Does the book literally like get rid of all the stuff? And does it walk through the mental part of it to help to change your brain or develop your habits?
Yeah, actually it does. And this isn't, I like to say this isn't just a diet book. This is a life transformation book because for 30 years I lived in yo-yo dieting and I would lose weight, gain it, lose weight, gain it. And what happened for me, Dave, was it wasn't until I really leaned on my faith quite heavily. I finally did that, which I hadn't done before because I'm a type A control girl. I could count the Weight Watchers points. Why wasn't anything working for me? I'm a high achieving woman. Nothing was working. But when I put my body, mind, and my spiritual health into this journey and realized that it's all interconnected, it's such an important part of the puzzle that most women are missing. And so I'm really excited to coach about this. So, yes, my book is broken down into 4 sections. The first section is the resolve it. We have to get real, right? We have to realize what's going on in our health and we have to make a determination to do something about it. And then we talk about restoring the body, where I talk a lot about the food choices that we should make. And then the third section is renewing your mind. So there's a lot of emotional work that goes into this. And then the fourth part of the book is redeeming your spiritual walk for the faith based journey.
Wow. It this seems like this is something that needs to be talked about a lot, but you don't hear it in the media. And then when you do hear about it, like you said, not to get political, but being healthy shouldn't be a bad thing because you have the battle against drugs and fentanyl and even mental health. And mental health isn't even talked about as much as it should be. But
Right.
this is actually goes along with mental and physical health. This should be a top priority because we are one of the what unhealthiest nations in the world, I think.
Yeah, it's surprising to me that 30% of Americans are considered overweight, and 70%, when you combine overweight Americans with obese Americans, 70% of Americans are dealing with this health issue of being overweight or obese, which is, you just have to look around and there's an obesity epidemic. So it's very exciting that people are beginning to talk about this. And in fact, you said something about mental health too. I just wanted to add that when I started eating healthy and I took the sugar out of my diet, went very low carb, my mental health improved so dramatically. Now, I wasn't dealing with a lot of mental health diagnoses, but the difference in my mood was amazing. And there's a lot of new studies and a lot of new information coming out that a diet free of sugar is really helping people with their mental health as well too.
That's what I want to ask because when I did, I've the yo-yoed. I've gone 2 weeks low carb, no Coke, Pepsi, and I felt less anxiety, and I felt a more calming. Is that what you're talking about? Literally, even like I have a history of OCD, and literally when I was eating better and exercising even a little bit more, I just felt better, like I could even get up more in the morning. Is that what you're talking about? It's literally changing your chemistry.
Yes, exactly. It is. I don't know the full science behind it because I'm not into the psychiatry of it, but there are doctors out there talking about this, like Dr. Christopher Palmer and Dr. Georgia Eads. You can look them up and learn more about it. But it is amazing to see people being set free from anxiety and depression and worry and OCD. And there's even people out there that are talking about how it's improving their schizophrenia and their bipolar disorder. So it's amazing. Our diet impacts so much of our life.
Yeah, why isn't it a big focus, or why hasn't it been? And I can guess, I don't wanna get you in trouble, but there's a lot of money to be made in bad food, medical treatments, like I said, I walk into the grocery store and it's not the best foods are not right in front of me, so do you feel the tide changing? I'll ask you that question to put you in a better position. Do you think more people are seeing the light?
I sure hope so. I am very involved and active in the low carb community on X, and just seeing all of my community there sharing and people genuinely asking questions, and they want to know, they want support, they want help. And so that's why we show up. That's why we share our stories of healing so that we kind of, if I can inspire one person a day, then what I've shown up to do is what God has called me to do through this healing story.
Yeah, I know some people don't like change, but we have a new, like, RFK. Either people loved him or hate him or they didn't know what to think. But I think at least he's bringing up a discussion. And I'm not even talking about the whole vaccine issue. I'm talking about
Right.
how he talks about health. And I think it's good to challenge narratives. And I know a lot of like Nabisco and all these companies may not like it, but it should be about what's best for us and not the profits of other big companies, right? It should all come down to what's best for us, the human being.
Right. You said you don't want to get me in trouble, and I never want to sound like a conspiracy theorist. But I know for a fact that those foods, because I used to be hooked on Ruffles potato chips,
Oh, yeah.
I know that those foods are made to be hyper palatable, and they make our brain. I say they hijack our brain. My brain was hijacked, and then there would be no shut off switch. It was hard to stop once you started. And they even had the marketing slogan for potato chips. What was it? Bet you can't eat just one, right?
Yeah,
That's
and
true.
I don't, and, that's their goal is as a business is to do that, and
Yeah.
it makes sense, but
Mhm.
also, I think I had a doctor, maybe it was you that told me this, when I would sit down with a bag of chips, or I'm not eating because I'm hungry, I'm just eating because I know my mom always told me to eat slow, I would always eat fast, and
Right.
sometimes I'm just eating and eating and eating, and I realize I'm not even hungry.
Right. Yeah, it's just the crunch, the salt, the combination of the sugar and the fat together. It just makes us keep coming back for more.
Wow. Okay. So you have the book, which I put up here, and I'll put a link in the comments below. You also offer someone they could reach out to you if you do individual counseling as well.
Yes, I'm a health wellness coach for Christian women. I love to equip them to quit sugar, crush those sugar cravings, and claim the weight loss victory once. And I always say once and forever, because I know that I'm never going back after losing the weight this way, eating healthy, being unhooked, unhijacked from that sugar is really where the true freedom has come in. And so I love to coach women to, join me on this journey, come along with me.
Someone who's 25, 60, 70, the sooner, whenever, right? It doesn't matter when you change, just do it.
Yeah, most of my women that come to me are typically between like 30 and 60. They're still working, and just like me, I was a professional career woman. I could get everything in my life right except this weight loss thing. And so finally now that I found something that works for people that have metabolic health disorders, I can't stop talking about it.
Yeah, let me put up one more time. I'll put the link to the book, and this is someone who is a novice and doesn't know anything. Will they be able to pick this up and learn from the beginning, step by step, on how to start their journey?
Yes, absolutely. It's not really my heart isn't really to tell you like eat this, don't eat that, but I do give you a grocery list. I give you like what a day in the life looks like, how step by step you can get off sugar and change your life. So yes, it's for everybody.
Okay, I like that. I like that because some people sometimes can be intimidated, and there's some books or some things that like, oh my god, I'm not an expert in this, or I don't know exactly. But that's someone who's just doesn't know. That's really good. Okay, well, I had to have you on again because a lot of the talks happening about challenging a lot of the bad food and pharmaceuticals and all this.
Yeah.
So I wish you success, and maybe hopefully we're turning the corner, and maybe this will also force these food companies to start changing the way they ingredients or certain chemicals. Maybe the free market, the people wanting change will make them change to be a healthier to produce healthier food. I don't
Yeah.
know.
That would be amazing. Yes.
It would be. We can only hope. We can only hope.
Mhm.
Um, okay. Well, the website, I'm going to put that out there. Also, for some reason, if someone's on Amazon, can they just type in your name and find it as well?
Yes, make sure to type in my name with the book title Sugar Freed, because if you just type in Sugar Freed, it's going to give you a bunch of sugar free pantry items.
Yeah. And oh, and that's another thing before I go.
Yeah.
Just because something says sugar free doesn't necessarily always mean you got to be careful with labels, right?
You have to be very careful with labels. They
Yeah.
can get away with a lot of stuff. Yeah.
My wife did that today. She showed me ketchup, and she's like, I forget what brand it was, and she's like, "This high fructose something," and she goes, "This is actually really bad for you." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Really? It's ketchup. It's fine." And then I started reading and researching, and I'm like, "No, this isn't good."
Ketchup is loaded with sugar.
Yeah, you don't think that, but then there
Mm.
all are alternatives too. And I follow you on X. On I still say Twitter or X, whatever it is. Is it just your name if you're on X? Right, people can find you.
Yes, they can search my name. Yes.
Because I like you post randomly certain meals you make or photos of meals or
Yeah.
and I like it because it motivates me when I see your posts. I'm like, hey, I
Yeah.
can do that, or that's cool. So
Yes. Well, tell your wife to get my book. She can read. You guys can read it together, and you guys can help each other.
cool. Well, thank you very much. I
Yeah,
appreciate you being here. I'll have you on every so often to keep us all motivated.
that would be awesome. I would love that. Thank you, Dave.